Hello, everyone. Welcome. Many of you, I think, already know me, but just in case, my name is Callum Vogue. I'm the Director of Government Affairs and Advocacy here at the Internet Society, and I'm going to be leading as the host of the first part of this Community Day event. So we're thrilled to have you, first of all, to join us for this important event. The reason we're here is to celebrate the incredible work of our community, which is you, but also to explore how we're making a difference both locally and globally. Before we get started, there's a few housekeeping notes I want to share with you. The first is that there is interpretation available for both French and Spanish. So if you want to use these options, please select the globe icon below your screen to choose your preferred language. The second is that I please ask you to respect the Internet Society's code of conduct. And this is both when you're interacting via the chat or also during the question and answer session of the call. And then the third point, which I think you already realized, is that this meeting is being recorded so that all of our community, even those that cannot join us, at this exact time, they're able to listen back to the recording at a later date. So once again, great to have all of you here. And we're going to start this call off with a short video of member testimonials. So I hand over for the video.
Thank you for being a member of the Internet Society. Thank you for being a member of your chapter or your organization that participates in the work with us, and for all that you do to ensure that the Internet really is for everyone.
Being a member of the Internet Society inspires me to help people to create a cyber journey, a safe cyber journey on the Internet, and for the Internet to be a good force.
It inspires me to actually advocate for a safe, open and trustworthy Internet.
I am very proud that together we are creating an Internet for everyone. By working together and learning from each other, inspired by Internet mission and values.
Being an Internet Society member, I feel proud to be the change and to reach out to millions in Africa, in Asia. The values that they've spent on me and the way they have groomed me is what is possible of what we can do to change the Internet for everyone. Together, we can change.
We are helping to create a better understanding of what Internet governance is, promoting multi-stakeholderism in the Internet space, and to build capacity within the country, especially through younger users, through the India School of Internet Governance and other such initiatives.
My membership in such amazing association gives me more power and more capacity, and it's an opportunity to collaborate.
And what inspires me more being a member of Internet Society is the capability of empowering people and also building a network that is trustworthy, globally connected. So when I see those transformations that we do in people's lives, inspire me more to continue.
The impact that all of you have on the Internet in your local communities, in your organizations, in your businesses, in your universities, is really what drives us and what ensures that we can bring about change in the world.
Thanks for that. I really like this video. I think, there's a few reasons. One, it reminds me of our shared mission, that the internet is for everyone. It reminds me about our community's passion and dedication, but also the global nature of our community, our ability to positively impact the development of the internet, both at the local and the global level. So thank you everyone for everything that you do. In the chat, I'll ask everyone to please tell us why you specifically joined the Internet Society. Would be great to hear, is there something about the shared mission that inspired you, or was there a particular moment maybe when you realized that the Internet Society was for you? So yeah, please put your answers in the chat. But while everyone is doing that, I'll go ahead and introduce our host for today's event. So the first is Katerina Gevorgian, who is the External Relations Manager for the Internet Society NGO in Armenia. We also have with us Jeren Unal, who is the chair of the Internet Society Turkey chapter, and also Kati Rakviashvili, who's the chair of the Internet Society Georgia chapter. So welcome to my fellow hosts for the call today. The purpose, of the call is that we'll be showcasing the incredible work of our chapters and our members across Europe. So we'll be hearing from various inspiring speakers, and we'll be able to delve into critical topics like encryption, privacy, and digital literacy as well. But most importantly, this is a day to celebrate our collective impact and explore how we can continue to build a stronger, more open internet for everyone. So now at this point, I'll go ahead and take a moment to thank our organizational members. And there's a slide here where you can take a look. Our organizational members, they collaborate and innovate with the Internet Society. They're a global network of our peers that we work with to address the Internet's biggest challenges, both now, but also in the future. And we're especially happy to have today with us two key organizational members joining to speak about the work that they do. And you'll hear from them later in this call. One more thing to mention is that after the official 90 minutes of this call, we'll keep this Zoom session open for an additional 30 minutes for an informal question and answer where everyone will be able to communicate and connect with each other. So it'd be great if you're able, please stay with us these extra 30 minutes and join in the conversation. But at this point, I'll go ahead and hand over to you, Katerina.
Thank you, Colin. Welcome, everyone. I'm Katarina Gevorkyan from Armenian ISOC chapter, and I hope everyone hears me well. It is my pleasure to host part of today's session, and also I would like to congratulate everyone with this nice community day. So let's start with the Internet pioneers. Each year, the Internet Society honors the remarkable individuals and organizations whose work has profoundly influenced the development and growth of the Internet. Through its annual recognition program, the Internet Society invites the global community to nominate outstanding contributors for two prestigious honors. Induction into the Internet Hall of Fame, which celebrates visionary Internet pioneers, and the John Postal Award, presented annually to those who have demonstrated exceptional and long-term service to the Internet community. Since 2012, Europe has proudly seen individuals inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame and recipients honored with the prestigious John Postal Award. By the way, the call for the nomination for the 2025 John Postal Award is now open until 11 July. So if you know the Internet pioneer whose work deserves global recognition, we encourage you to nominate them for this distinguished honor. Now let's talk a little about the future Internet pioneers, our Internet champions of the Internet Society alumni. The Internet Society Alumni Network is thriving with nearly 400 alumni across more than 100 countries, committed to a free, globally accessible, secure, and reliable Internet. They have introduced exciting new initiatives, such as translating their monthly newsletter into French and Spanish, and their upcoming podcast series, Internet Changemakers. The Internet Society has also expanded its fellowship opportunities to 7, introducing the Community Fellowship, NDSS Fellowship, and Peering Fellowship. These programs will help develop active community members into powerful Internet advocates, and the NDSS and peering initiatives will specifically enhance the technical community expertise. After successful completion of their respective programs, they will be invited to join the alumni network and join our community of impact and connection. You can discover more about these programs looking for regularly checking the Internet Society website. We continually inspired by the drive and dedication of our community, who use the Internet as a force for good to address real-life challenges and bring purpose to everything they do. Now I would like to ask you to write in the chat box where are you joining from, and take a moment to share how the Internet has impacted on your life. While you are doing that, I will hand it over to Ceren Unal, President of Turkey chapter, who will introduce a short video from the Turkey chapter before our next session. Thank you.
Many thanks, Katerina. And hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be with you today and see so many familiar faces. Before we play the video, I'd like to briefly share what we've been doing in Turkey and hopefully spark future collaboration with other chapters, so feel free to reach out afterwards. This year, our focus has been on meaningful local engagement, connecting digital rights and inclusion with the on-ground action. We worked across several areas: community outreach, digital literacy, youth participation, and broad... Excuse me?
Sorry.
So we worked on several areas, as I was saying: community outreach, digital literacy, youth participation, and broader awareness building around internet governance. In Q4, we will be hosting a national youth IGF to bring younger voices into the conversation and strengthen local stakeholder dialogue as well. We've also been experimenting with new outreach formats, including a 10-episode podcast series called Netpresso that makes issues like AI, encryption, and platform regulation more accessible to everyday user. So think of it as a coffee table tech talk with a critical edge. Our flagship project this year has been Hayye Pazar, supported by ISOC Foundation's Beyond the Net Large Grants Program. It's an e-commerce platform co-created with earthquake-affected local producers in southeastern Turkey, and now it's in final phase, so set to go live soon, hopefully. What makes it unique is its cooperative business model, so producers are not just users, but co-owners and decision makers. Alongside technical development, we provided legal, digital, and organizational training to support long-term sustainability. And during our field visits, we also saw that many communities face more basic digital literacy challenges. So we're launching additional outreach beyond the project itself to meet that need as well. The video you're about to see was prepared in early days in the Hayye Pazar journey, and it still carries the weight of the post-disaster moment, so it's a bit on the sad side. But we're already working on a follow-up that better captures the resilience, humor, and momentum we have witnessed. So we look forward to sharing a happier version with you soon. So thanks. We can go through the video.
...6 Şubat 2023'te Hatay büyük bir felaketle sarsıldı. Depremin yarattığı yıkım, yüz binlerce insanı yaralı, evsiz ve işsiz bıraktı. Ancak her zaman umut vardı. Hataylılar yaralarını sarmak için mücadeleye devam etti. Bu mücadele Hatay'ın yerel üreticilerinin el emeği ve göz nuruyla hayat buldu. Kadınlar, erkekler, gençler, yaşlılar hep birlikte üretmeye devam ettiler. Ve şimdi İnternet Derneği olarak biz Hayye Pazar'la Hatay'ın gücüne güç katıyoruz. Yerel üreticilerimizin ürünlerini Türkiye ve dünya ile buluşturuyoruz. Bu platform yalnızca bir alışveriş sitesi değil, aynı zamanda dayanışmanın, umudun ve yeniden doğuşun simgesi. Hayye Pazar'la Hatay'da hayat yeniden inşa ediliyor. Her bir alışveriş bir umut ışığı oluyor. Hatay'da hayat var, dayanışma var, umut var. Hayalleri ve mutluluğu paylaşmak için Hayye Pazar. hayyepazar.com'u ziyaret edin, emeği destekleyin, Hatay'ın hikayesine ortak olun.
Yes. So that was it. I promise for a much happier one. Now we move to the heart of our event, which showcases the impactful work of our community. We have around 35 minutes to hear from our outstanding speakers who will share their experiences and insights on encryption, privacy, and digital literacy. We have Sebastian Bacholet, ISOC Friends Honorary Chair and Euralo Chair at ICANN, who will talk about advocacy against provisions that weakened encryption. We have Fredrik Lindeberg, ISOC Sweden board member and security expert at NetNode, who will talk about advocacy against local data storage legislation. And we have Talant Sultanov, policy advocacy advisor at the Global Digital Inclusion Partnership and the co-founder of the Internet Society Kyrgyzstan chapter, who will share more about their digital connectivity research. So I'd like to start with, I cannot see Sebastian.
Jaren, I think maybe start with one of the others and come back
Yes,
to
okay.
Sebastian.
So I would directly start with Frederick Lindeberg. So
I am here, no worries. If you want
okay,
me to
perfect.
start, it's up to you.
Okay, perfect. So in Sweden, you faced an encryption threat as far as we're concerned. And could you please tell us more about the troubling proposal and the advocacy actions you took, and how did you select the right partners to amplify your message? And so the proposal might be likely to discuss in the Riksdag again after the summer. So are there any learnings that you would apply to your next rounds of advocacy? So we'd love to hear from you on this. Thank you.
Yes, I gave some slides to Leah. Is it possible to show them, or should we take them later? Perfect. Yeah, you can skip to the next slide. So to give some short introduction about myself, my name is Fredrik Lindeberg. I'm a board member for ISAC SE, the Swedish Internet Society chapter. And by day, I work at NetNod as a security expert. So my day job is also internet and internet policy. So when we talk about this topic here, end-to-end encryption, it's important to understand where we are and what we're talking about. So lately, we've been talking about breaking end-to-end encryption and different forms of data retention under names such as chat control, the name...
Lyssna inte på högtalaren om du ska på chatta hela tiden. Sorry.
Will you... Somebody talked? Will you mute that mic? And the current name being used by the EU Commission is retention of data by service providers for criminal proceedings. And that is a current call, which is open right now. And the reason for these kind of legislative proposals is usually either CSAM, that is actions against child pornography, basically, or organized crime. And currently, right now, there are probably more, but in the EU, there are suggestions in Netherlands, France, Sweden, and there are also EU-level proposals going on right now. Can we switch to the next slide? And if you look at the Swedish context, let's skip the rest of the world in Europe for now, and we'll look at the proposal, which is actually live in Sweden right now. The whole idea behind that proposal is to harmonize the rules regulating number-independent communication services with the rules for vertically integrated telecommunication services, such as telephony rules, right? And I have a list here, if you look up about the apps which are explicitly targeted by the framework. So you can note here that common apps such as iMessage and WhatsApp and Viber and Skype and Facebook Messenger, they're all explicitly targeted by this legislative proposal. Signal is not explicitly mentioned in the Swedish proposal, but I think it is mentioned in the chat control proposal at an EU level. So it's not mentioned in the Swedish proposal, but I think it's intended to cover Signal as well. Also, might be interesting for all of you to know that Gmail, Outlook, and Apple Mail are also explicitly targeted. So the Swedish legislative proposal is not only looking at breaking end-to-end encryption for end-to-end encrypted messaging apps, it's also looking at breaking end-to-end encryption for common mail services. And basically, this is done through adaptability requirements for end-to-end encrypted communication services, where the law or the suggested law says that clear text communication needs to be available to law enforcement upon request in such a way that the ones communicating should not be aware of the fact that their communication chain has been broken. And there are also data retention parts of this that providers have to store a lot of metadata, location, the participants of a conversation, timeframes, IP addresses, and so forth. And the reason for this change in Sweden is organized crime. So child pornography or CSAM is not mentioned that explicitly in the Swedish proposal. So the Swedish proposal mentions organized crime as the primary factor for moving forward with this proposal. Could I get the next slide? So the history in Sweden, and this is only Sweden, chat control predates this a little bit. But in 2023, there was a public request for comments on changes to the Swedish Data Retention Directive, which would be both about data retention and end-to-end encryption. And ISOC SE commented on this proposal together with the Swedish EDRI and dataskydd.net, which is a privacy-focused civil organization in Sweden. And then there was a second round of requests this fall, going over Christmas and ending in January, where ISOC SE left a comment together with the DFRI and the Swedish Network User Society. And the way we see it or look at this, there are three primary categories of issues with this proposal. It's the security. It's not possible to do this, right? It's not possible to break end-to-end encryption for these kinds of internet-based services without also introducing vulnerabilities and backdoors, which could be exploited by third parties. And the third party here, it could be a foreign intelligence service, it could be a company wanting to spy on a competitor or whatever, right? These third parties could be basically any kind of actor. And there's also the architectural issue, which is that this proposal goes heavily against the internet model, right? So for these kinds of proposals to make sense, communications networks needs to be vertically integrated. Communication applications needs to be part of the network, and both the application and the network infrastructure needs to be running within a single jurisdiction. And as you all know, that is not the case with the internet, right? Anyone could be using an application, talking with a server based in any country using a network which is in practice global, right? So this kind of legal proposal does not really make architectural sense in a world where we use the internet as a basis for communication. And then we also have the personal integrity perspective, that the data retention requirements, they're way too far reaching, right? The metadata such as location and IP addresses and participants, and they need to be stored for a long time, etc. But we think that the security aspect is actually the worst part with this proposal, and that's why I put it up at the top here. Could we switch to the next slide? This is my last slide, just to explaining a bit what we did here in Sweden. So we answered all the public requests we could, right? We talked and we tried to engage with the larger community and tried to find other organizations with the same kind of standpoint as we have. And answering a public request for comments in the Swedish legislative proposal, it's possible for anyone to do that. Basically, the only thing you have to be able to do is to put together a document and send it in with a formal name. That's it, basically. We also sent out an email to Swedish parliamentary members a couple of months ago, which was very interesting. We have received quite a lot of positive feedback on that. It's a bit debatable whether it has any real effect, because the members of parliament who agrees with us, they reply back and say, well done. And the ones who don't agree with us, they don't respond, right? But it's, let's hope it has some effect, yes. We also had a very nice interview in the Swedish radio, in the national radio channels, which was, I think it was successful, and it brought home our key points. We have also tried to organize a couple of larger roundtables. Sadly, all of the ones which have been planned until now have fallen through. I hope that the ones we are still planning will actually happen, but I don't want to go into too many specifics since all the actors hasn't agreed to participate in these roundtables yet. And we've also tried to communicate with others through back channels, right? That's where you actually get to do a lot of the actual work, where you talk to either people working at the departments of the Swedish government, or you talk with people of other organizations who might have larger financial muscles, let's say, than ISOC SE, since we are a small non-profit compared to the larger actors who also have a vested interest in these kinds of proposals. Yes, I think I answered your questions.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. And it's kudos, because this kind of advocacy is very tricky, especially when the dialogue is around super sensitive topics such as DSM, which of course everybody agrees that it is to be fighted against. So thank you very much. And so I'd like to move to Talant now. And we know that the Kyrgyz chapter is doing a lot of great work, and you have taken a more proactive approach to advocacy. You delivered trainings on cybersecurity and safety online. So what motivated the decision to lead these trainings, and actually who has benefited from them? And how do you feel that your proactive education-based advocacy impacted government policy? So have you seen any positive improvements? We would like to hear about that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ceren. Teşekkür ederim. Dear colleagues, it's a pleasure to be here. And I also had some slides, so maybe we can pull them up. Thank you. So, as the moderators mentioned, I am wearing two hats today. One as the advisor at the Global Digital Inclusion Partnership, GDIP, and the second one as the co-founder of Internet Society Kyrgyz chapter. And both organizations, one is very local in Kyrgyzstan and the other one is global, are doing a lot of work related to closing the digital divide and especially gender digital divide. And in my presentation, I wanted to share some of the experiences of how these two organizations are working in this area. Next slide, please. So first I wanted to set the context of is it really a major issue, gender digital divide? And if we look at the global statistics, it's really staggering. I did not realize that the issue was so acute. So in terms of how many more men than women use the internet, ITU estimated that it's 250 million. And in low income countries, of which one is Kyrgyzstan too, only 1 in every 5 women are internet users, whereas 1 in 3 men are using the internet. And in terms of the use of mobile internet in low and middle income countries, GSMA estimates that 0.8 billion women are not using mobile internet. If it's like 10% of the global populations, I think it's a really huge figure. And if our countries, low and middle economic countries, do not close the gender digital divide, they are going to lose $500 billion over the next 5 years. And to address this challenge or to research, a global digital inclusion partnership with the support of ISOC Foundation is doing research, and one of the publications is called Connected Resilience, which looks at different countries across the world to see what are the major barriers and areas for action to close the gender digital divide. And we can move to the next slide. So in its research, GDIP identified 5 main areas or 5 main barriers and areas for action. One is access and affordability of the internet. Second is availability of relevant products and tools as well as content. Third is digital literacy and skills. Fourth is safety and security. And finally, lack of data and insights in countries where the gender digital divide is persistent. And next slide, please. In the next section, I wanted to share some of the use cases of how a non-profit organization like ISOC Kyrgyz chapter could do its share of work to close the digital divide, especially gender digital divide. Next slide, please. So the previous picture and the picture here are from the same location. It's a very remote area in the country. It's called Zardali, a community which before did not have no internet, but it didn't have electricity, it didn't have roads, no TV, no radio. So it was very secluded community. And during COVID, when all of the country was shut down and kids had to study online, several villages, because they didn't have internet, kids in their were cut out from the education. So we wanted to find the most difficult location and to connect it to the internet, just to kind of demonstrate that the government or the private sector should not be kind of deterred from connecting such locations. If small organization can do it, then probably all the rest of the difficult locations could be connected. And thanks to the support from the Internet Society as well as from other donors, Giga, bilateral donors that are working in Central Asia, we're able to connect Zardali village to the internet through the approach called community networks, of which Internet Society is one of the biggest advocates. And what happened is that these locations are about which you would hear in the news every maybe 10 years, and only because something terrible happened. Now you hear about this village every week, and the news you hear is that the president came to the village, or the ministers came to the village, the road is being built, as you can see in this picture. It was before and after. Now they have mobile internet, they have electricity. All of this became possible thanks to very small investment into communications, which allow the local community to inform about their conditions to the decision makers. And now they're unlocking millions of dollars of public investment into the infrastructure. So this is like a really good example of how small actions can help drive the policy by the government. Next slide, please. And also I wanted to mention that thanks to such community discussions that Internet Society provides, we learned about community networks from our Georgia partners, and decided to use the same approach in Kyrgyzstan. So once you have the internet connectivity, and hopefully if it's affordable, you also need to think about the availability of relevant content, because if there is no content that's understandable to communities in their language, then it may not be really useful. So during one of the meetings, discussions, we learned from Mexico ISOC chapter about this internet in the box device, and we decided to try to do the same in Kyrgyzstan. And this internet in the box device, which we called Ilim Box, became a major online educational portal. And what we did is we filled this portal, and before that the internet in the box, with educational materials in Kyrgyz language. And what we found is that there is actually very limited amount of educational content in local language. So we decided to kind of invest in efforts and resources in developing educational materials. And here we used also a very agile approach of not just trying to do something from the scratch, but to bring global experience, global content, and to reuse it and adapt it into Kyrgyz language. Next slide, please. So you could have internet connectivity, you could have the relevant content, but you also need to have digital skills and literacy to be able to use this the internet and all these opportunities most effectively. And in the Internet Society Kyrgyz chapter, we've been doing a lot of work on digital skills, especially for rural communities, for youth and women in villages of Kyrgyzstan. And many of these activities were supported by ISOC Foundation's Beyond the Net grants. And we would teach the local communities from very basic things of how to use the internet to more advanced ones, how to promote e-commerce, e-tourism using the available tools. And the examples that we learned how much impact this has been, it was really impressive for us. For example, in some of the villages, after these trainings, local communities decided to launch guest houses. So provinces which had no online presence in Booking or Airbnb, now they are like there are several guest houses opening online. It's just like mushrooming. And next slide, please. I think one of the extremely important areas of work is safety and security online. And this aspect has becoming even more important. And at the ISOC Kyrgyz chapter, we've been doing this kind of safety and security, digital hygiene work for several years now. And how they say, we would promote this before it became mainstream. So when we I was trying to recollect when we learned more about safety and security was when Internet Society made it possible for us to attend IETF, and Sally, who is the head of ISOC, and at the time she was running a kind of trainings for policymakers, and there we learned about the importance of online safety and security, that we are connecting people oftentimes for the first time to the internet, so we need to provide them with tools to be safe. And we started implementing these kinds of activities for several years now. And suddenly, and at that time, this was really kind of only us and another organization, I think, was doing this work. Today, private sector, government is putting a lot of effort into cybersecurity because they realize that people are becoming victims of cyber crimes, of phishing, and all kinds of threats, especially women and youth are becoming victims of such threats. And we've been doing a lot of work on empowering internet users, women online. And also when we go to rural communities, we've been inviting local influencers, traditional storytellers who would tell local communities the importance of digital security in their language, in the kind of way that local communities would appreciate and listen to. So for example, in Kyrgyzstan, we have local singers who kind of recite interesting things by memory. They just sing, and we would train the local singers about the importance of digital hygiene, and they would pass it on in the kind of language that people would appreciate. So for example, they would say, when you leave your house, you lock your door and then you lock your gate, so you at least have two locks. Same for your phone and same for your social profiles. You shouldn't have just one simple password. It should be a complex password, but also not one, but two-factor authentication. So complex technological issues would be communicated in a very kind of simple way. Next slide, please. And finally, this is the kind of last kind of slide that I wanted to mention to you, is the importance of data insights. And thanks to ISOC Foundation, we've been doing this really interesting work on how to use smart IoT sensors, which run on long-range wide area network communication technology to monitor climate for disaster resilience. The importance of such approach is that for low and middle income countries, there are very few big weather stations that collect data. So the data may not be very accurate, especially for remote communities or for remote locations like this, mountains, villages. And this new technology could be a really kind of game changer. So you could have thousands of such sensors in very remote locations which don't have internet, don't have electricity, because these sensors have batteries that run for many years and they don't need internet. They use the LoRaWAN communication network. So we completed phase 1 of this research and applied for the phase 2, and Internet Society Foundation has supported the phase 2 of this research. And of course, AI being the thing, in the phase 2, we are hoping to apply AI approaches, but not only the mainstream ones, but actually there is a technology called tiny machine learning for kind of projects or for communities that have limited number of data. And based on that tiny ML can actually help analyze and provide information and data and insights for countries like Kyrgyzstan. Next slide, please. So with that, this was my concluding slide, and I give the microphone back to Ceren. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Talant. These are such cool projects, and you can see the immediate impact. And also I found it, I don't know, as a leverage to discuss the more complicated stuff with the government as well. And now we have Sebastian Becholet here. So just one note, he's going to be speaking in French. So to hear the English stream, you have to click on More, select Interpretation, and select English. So hi, Sebastian. Good to see you. Can I see you? I cannot see you right now on the
Bonjour
screen.
Sérène, j'espère que vous
Bonjour,
m'entendez.
bonjour. Great day, thank you. So we already know that you organized an in-person encryption workshop recently due to a threat you encountered in France. So we would like to hear about your advocacy actions and why did you decide to organize this workshop, and how was the outcome and what did you learn from that? So is there something you would have done differently in your case? Thank you. Sebastian, the screen is yours.
Oui, ça prend du temps de traduire, donc Sérène, merci. Sébastien Bacholet, je voudrais au nom du chapitre et de son président Nicolas Chany, tout d'abord remercier Isaac Monde et sa fondation pour le soutien pour l'initiative dont je vais parler et des autres activités du chapitre de l'Internet Society France. À l'occasion de la proposition de loi Sortir la France du piège du narcotrafic, nous avons organisé le 1er avril 2025 un déjeuner pour échanger sur cette question, sur le thème chiffrement de bout en bout et sécurité des messageries. Quel équilibre trouver entre lutte contre la grande criminalité, cybersécurité et confiance des utilisateurs du numérique? Je vous prie de m'excuser, je suis dans un environnement bruyant. Comme les organisateurs savent, il y a une journée AFNIC, l'Assemblée générale de l'AFNIC aujourd'hui, et donc c'était un peu compliqué de m'organiser. Mais ben voilà. Dans ce déjeuner, nous avons reçu des élus, des sénateurs, des députés, des membres de cabinet, présidence de la République, ministère en charge de l'intelligence artificielle et du numérique, des représentants de l'industrie et d'associations, des avocats, des activistes et des utilisateurs d'Internet. Comme le disait Nicolas Chany en introduction du déjeuner, le chiffrement, thème de notre déjeuner, est un sujet récurrent. En tant que président de l'Internet Society France, j'ai souvent l'impression de revivre ce débat. Il s'agit d'un marronnier législatif qui revient régulièrement sur la table. Affaiblir la sécurité des utilisateurs en matière de chiffrement, c'est risquer de rompre un lien de confiance déjà fragile. Nous devons prendre en compte la complexité technique d'Internet et éviter les raccourcis qui pourraient nuire à cette confiance. Lors de ce déjeuner, sur ce thème-là, nous nous inquiétons de la volonté de remettre en cause le principe de confidentialité des communications et de porter atteinte au chiffrement. L'introduction de portes dérobées dans les messageries chiffrées constitue une faille de sécurité, affaiblissant la sécurité globale des services numériques et la confiance des utilisateurs d'Internet. En pratique, le chiffrement dit de bout en bout, utilisé par des applications de messagerie comme Signal, rend les messages lisibles uniquement par l'émetteur et le destinataire, en assurant un chiffrement sur l'intégralité de la chaîne. Ainsi, le message envoyé par l'émetteur ne peut être déchiffré que par le destinataire qui détient la clé. La proposition d'introduire des portes dérobées, notamment la proposition dite du fantôme, revient régulièrement et constitue une faille de sécurité qui par nature est incontrôlable. Elle vise à faciliter l'accès à des messages chiffrés de bout en bout à des tiers qui peuvent accéder aux conversations de façon dissimulée. Les partisans de cette mesure affirment qu'elle peut répondre à des besoins policiers ou de sécurité sans pour autant affaiblir le chiffrement utilisé. Pourtant, cette proposition dite du fantôme crée des vulnérabilités de sécurité systémiques dans les services de communication chiffrés et altère fondamentalement la relation de confiance entre les utilisateurs et les fournisseurs de services. Une telle mesure remet en cause l'objet même du chiffrement, crée une vulnérabilité qui pourrait être détournée par des acteurs malveillants, crée une complexité technique supplémentaire qui amènera de nouveaux défis techniques et procéduraux, amène les criminels à se détourner et à utiliser d'autres outils de communication, rendant ainsi inopérant l'objectif initial de la mesure, et crée un risque de dérive et d'extension à d'autres fins, la dystopie par accident. Les intervenants à cette table ronde étaient Nicolas Chagny, président de l'ONG Internet Society France, Pierre Bessac, porte-parole du parti Pirate de France, moi-même, président d'honneur d'Internet Society France, et Stella Morabito, qui est déléguée générale de l'Alliance française des industries du numérique. Je voudrais maintenant passer à quelques verbatims des participants qui vous donneront l'état de la réflexion de ceux qui ont assisté à ça. L'affaiblissement du chiffrement affecterait tous les usages, y compris ceux des entreprises, risquant d'ouvrir la porte à l'espionnage et à la corruption. Il existe un arsenal législatif suffisant pour les forces de l'ordre, sans en rajouter. Il y a des risques d'abus liés à l'institutionnalisation des pratiques de renseignement. Une autre, la distinction entre services de renseignement et police judiciaire est absolument nécessaire. Et la nécessité de trouver un équilibre entre la lutte contre la criminalité et la protection des communications, tout en reconnaissant les dangers des portes dérobées. Voilà, je vous ai présenté une des activités du chapitre français de l'Internet Society. Nous organisons différents autres événements. Je voudrais en citer quelques-uns. Nous venons de finir les 3e ateliers de l'avenir numérique que nous organisons dans un petit village de la Nièvre en Bourgogne, en France, qui s'appelle Varzy, où il y a 1300 habitants. Et on a réuni plus de 150 participants venant de Suisse, de Belgique, du sud de la France, de l'est et de l'ouest de la France, avec la collaboration du département de la Nièvre, qui est une des structures administratives et bien sûr de la ville. Nous organisons aussi le forum sur la gouvernance de l'Internet en France le 13 novembre prochain et beaucoup d'autres activités avec des chercheurs du Centre national de recherche scientifique, des avocats et des utilisateurs. Voilà, j'ai essayé d'être synthétique et court pour vous rapporter cette activité de d'ISOC France. Merci de votre écoute et je reste à votre disposition.
Merci,
Bonne
merci.
continuation.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. This is very important work as well, and it's great to see so many people are working on more or less similar problems around the world, and these forums like this allow us to collaborate and exchange our experiences, which is super meaningful. So thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And now I'd like to hand over to my co-host, Kati Rekviachvili, representative from the Internet Society Georgia chapter. But before we do that, let's enjoy a short video together. In February this year, the Internet Society staff organized an encryption advocacy workshop in Brussels, where they invited civil society organizations from all around the European Union to learn how encryption works, to make them understand the impacts of incoming legislation on encryption, and discuss strategies for joint action. This workshop took an all of ISOC approach with sessions led not only by ISOC staff, but also Frederick Thijs from ISOC Belgium and Ruben Brave from ISOC Netherlands. Among the participants was also our organizational member, Cyber Voluntarios. So let's see the video.
Leah, sorry, there's no audio. Can you start the video again, please?
My life without encryption would be, I would say, endangered, probably even personally. We also should be aware that democracy is very fragile.
Optimists, certainly in this case, are, to my experience, a bit lesser informed. Since my background and since my experience, I feel really scared about it.
Well, I think that personally encryption is a tool for safety.
Encryption keeps adversaries out of that conversation, or third parties that should not be part of that conversation out of that conversation. But it is under threat because of a proposed European piece of legislation that is seeking to possibly weaken or break encryption.
I work in Prague for an NGO, and I'm also the chairwoman of a committee that is focused on human rights and modern technologies. I work with journalists, so for them it's protection of their personal safety, but also sources, and also in some states it's about avoiding censorship.
And especially if we consider the best example, the finest examples of journalism we've seen in the past years.
Panama Papers.
Edward Snowden, an international outlaw.
Let's talk about the Uber files.
The FinCEN files.
The Blue Leaks. All of them were possible also because encryption was there as a tool for journalists.
I'm head of policy at GEN. It's a global organization working to support survivors of gender-based violence. And we cannot have the safe space that we need as activists without privacy. Encryption is an enabler of the right to privacy, and the right to privacy is a fundamental right. Whatever harm or threats to encryption happen in Europe also justifies the threats against encryption that are happening in the rest of the world.
Encryption allows us to have possibility to trust the relationship that happen in the online world. And we are doing our best to explain to our public, the citizens, policymakers, researchers, the value of encryption as a tool for basically everything. I think it's important at this stage that you remain loyal to the original idea of the European Union as a place that promotes human rights and public rights for everyone.
Thank you, Jaron. This was a wonderful video. I think this is a topic and the issue that really bothers not only European Union, but the whole world today. And in this technological era, this could be the tool that helps us be safe and live our lives happily as it can be. As a chair of the Georgian ISAC chapter, and in the spirit of today's sharing of regional community impact, I would like to share a few words about the work we're doing in Georgia and the struggles we're facing maybe this past year. At ISAC, we do believe that internet is a powerful tool for inclusion and development and progress, and it should be accessible and open and of course secure for everyone. Our work centers on making this vision a reality, and hopefully we will do so. Over the past year, we've been actively engaged in a range of initiatives via our members and other organizations we cooperate with to strengthen digital resilience and improve the connectivity. Unfortunately, the digital divide is still an issue, not only in other countries, but also in Georgia. Even though there have been many initiatives and the government and other institutions working together to handle this we've launched awareness campaigns, training programs to equip young people, educators, and local leaders with the skills they really need to handle this challenge. We also take pride to say that we've done and had some efforts to foster multi-stakeholder dialogue on the internet governance.
And throughout 2023-24, we've been heavily involved with the Parliament of Georgia on the various legislation activities, like amendments to the available and active laws, and also drafting some new laws in the telecom sector and the internet safety. Although this cooperation has been challenged this year due to some political turbulences and the legal amendments that have been introduced regarding the NGOs and the entities working on various issues. But we do believe that together with other chapters, we will find the way to keep our activities in place. And as part of the legal global internet society family, we do remain committed to advancing an internet that is for everyone and global and trustworthy. The journey ahead still holds many challenges, but we believe that this can be tackled and achieved. And also, I want to use this opportunity and thank Internet Society and the Foundation for the great support they have been given to the Georgian chapter in this hard period where we have basically struggled and have not done any activities that we've planned and reported we would do in the time we wanted to do. While we talked about these great works and we've listened to the great initiatives, we should also recognize our organization members. The organizational members are a vital part of the Internet Society. And today we're glad to be joined by Harald Suma from Silver Member, the DECIX, which is the German Internet Exchange, and Angel Sola from Copper Member, Fundación Ciber Voluntarios. Great to have you on board.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So basically, with Harald and Angel, we would like to discuss what are the focus areas of the organizations and how does being an Internet Society member most benefit the work they do. So please, Harald, let's start with you.
Hello and good afternoon, good morning, or whatever time we have. My name is Harald Suma and I serve as a member of the supervisory board of the DECIX group. I'm chairing also the organizational member advisory council since 2023. So for those who do not know what DECIX does, DECIX is one of the largest internet exchange operators, active in over 60 metropolitan regions globally, and we connect more than 2,400 networks, CDNs, carriers, clouds, AI environments in over 500 data centers. Our largest internet exchange is located in Frankfurt, where we operate a highly resilient infrastructure distributed across 35 data centers. This platform handles between 16 and 19 terabits, not per day, but per second. So it's an awful lot of traffic that flows through this infrastructure, and it's one of the largest exchanges on the globe. There's only one that handles more traffic, and this is in Brazil. So this environment, this infrastructure is operating now for 30 years without a single noticeable interruption. And this is what we are particularly proud of. DECIX has a global presence spanning Europe, the Middle East, Africa, the United States, India, the Asia-Pacific region, and Japan. And most recently, we launched operations in Brazil just 2 months ago, adding another continent to our global presence. We sometimes say the limit is the sky, but honestly, we already connect most of the important satellite connectivity providers through our switches, and they are a customer of our global environment. So our engagement with the Internet Society is driven by multiple strategic and mission-aligned reasons. Firstly, ISOC provides us with a platform to share our expertise and experience with the broader Internet community, particularly in regions that are not yet sufficiently connected. Enabling these areas to fully participate in the global information society is a core value for us. I'm personally involved in the Connecting the Unconnected initiative in the Himalayas, where we are supporting the rollout of fiber infrastructure in the Khumbu region, that is the region where the Mount Everest is located. Secondly, we actively participate in ISOC's Pulse project, where we both contribute and benefit. The data and insights from Pulse help us determine where additional connectivity infrastructure, such as an internet exchange, are most urgently needed around the world. We are evaluating Pulse for traffic developments in all of this region and where we have already our services. Thirdly, we value ISOC's global and regional policy engagement. Their thoughtful contributions, such as the review and commentary on the WSIS 20 process, are essential for ensuring the Internet's continued development as a global, open, and an inclusive resource. Engaging with the regional ISOC chapters also helps us to better understand the local regulatory landscape in the country, where we are expanding our presence and deploying our internet exchanges. In conclusion, partnering with ISOC is not only meaningful, it is essential for our mission. Thank you for your global commitment and advocacy to building an open, safe, and reliable internet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harold. And now I would ask Angel to say a few words about the focus areas of Fundación Cibervoluntarios and how does being the member of Internet Society really benefit you?
So thank you very much, Katie, and thank you very much to all the global community of ISOC present here. I see a lot of people in the chat commenting and sharing experiences, which is really enriching for everyone and enlightening how everyone is connecting and everyone is collaborating to seek the goals. I'm a member of an NGO, a Spanish NGO called Fundación Cibervoluntarios. It's an NGO of international scope, focusing on promoting an inclusive digital transition and eliminating the digital divide through the digital competences training, free training for citizens. I like the slogan of think global and act local, because acting local for us is really important to act face-to-face in communities, very local communities, with grassroots organizations, with users, with people that can be at the risk of digital vulnerability and digital poverty, to give them these free training courses and to empower them. Because within this knowledge, these technological tools can improve their lives. So at Cibervoluntarios Foundation, we help thousands of people each year to understand and use this technology and to make this positive impact in their lives, regardless their age, their background, or digital experience. We can do it because that's our name, Cibervoluntarios, which in English is Cyber Volunteers. It's a tech volunteering network of almost 5,000 people now in Spain, all across Spain. We have a lot of capillarity, tackling also the 30% of our activities in rural areas, which is really important, and in-person activities. The 18% of all our training courses and raising awareness activities are in-person activities. We have those passionate people, those volunteers, tech volunteers, teaching to these people how to use technology, how to empower them, and how to have the ownership of those technological knowledge. We do it because we believe that we fight against this technological poverty, including the gender, territorial, and social dimension of the digital divide, which is really important. And we claim technologically ownership, appropriation of, it's not only the digital competencies, it's beyond that, it's ownership as a means to achieve citizen digital sovereignty as a process that is still in progress. We generate digital transformation and we defend human rights. In the video before, we saw someone saying that privacy is a fundamental right. And that's why with all these training activities, what we do and raising awareness activities are promoting these digital rights. And as members of the Internet Society, we have been promoting for years now. We are really happy about this, enhancing digital literacy to raise this awareness about encryption, and which is increasingly important for safeguarding our rights online, and privacy. But it's not just technical issues. It's more than they're deeply tied to freedom, to trust of the citizens and the personal safety. So the information to the citizens to generate a more informed, a more participatory society, and put in the center of this transformation the people, the persons that we are all using internet, we are all using the digital spaces to debate, to participate, etc. We can't forget about people that are at the risk of digital poverty. Elderly people living in rural areas, people with disabilities, migrants, little and local entrepreneurs with no resources, minors and teenagers, educational sector, all of them needs to know how privacy and encryption affects their lives. Protection for surveillance and tracking, freedom of expression, data breach risks, and also mental and social health, which is commonly forgotten in these cases. And we are involved in the ISOC chapter here in Spain. For example, in the Global Encryption Day, we create those workshops with hundreds of citizens, open workshops to promote this, raising awareness about how important encryption is. So we would like to continue to be part of, be members of for many years on, and we give you, our hand to collaborate. If you want to know more about the Cibervoluntarios Foundation we are doing here, not only in Spain, but also in Latin America, we will very, very happy to give you more information about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Gracias, Angel. I think these are the wonderful initiatives, and maybe it will be inspirational for our chapters to cooperate and maybe you can share some of your activities with them too. And now for the community engagement opportunities, we have many opportunities at ISOC for you to get involved, and in closing digital divide and making the internet more trustworthy. We're posting links in the chat box for more information, and please you take the information from there. We're working on many our communities' work to make them more visible and stay up to date with what's happening around the world by reading our monthly community snapshots, which are posted in the chat as well. And if you want to learn more about what was discussed in today's call, please do contact Calvin Vogue and Hannah Saba, so we can add it to the community snapshots and have also your activities included. And of course, please keep sharing your updates and activities in Fonteva throughout the year, which is a great tool to share the information. As you know, last year, the Internet Society community implemented more than 1,200 impactful activities and initiatives, which are captured in the Mobilized Community 2024 report. The report link will be posted in the chat box as well, and I encourage you to take a look at this report, which incorporates wonderful information. Before we move on to the closing remarks for today, I want to take the chance to share a video produced by the Armenia chapter. Armenia chapter has done a great job in designing an advocacy plan on a number of topics relevant to their community. And we share this here today to provide an example and also spark some inspiration for others. Please, can we see the video? Thank you. The wonderful activities the Armenia chapter is doing. I'm glad they will be happy to share if anyone's interested to take a look in more detail. And now I would like to invite Chris Locke, Executive Vice President and Managing Director of the Internet Society Foundation, for his closing remarks. Welcome, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, and hi, everybody. So it's always a pleasure to meet ISOC chapters and members when I'm on my travels. And calls like this, which aggregate the impact of all that we collectively achieve across the region, are fantastic because they show the expertise, passion, and the fun that we have in the work that we all do. So I've been in this role for almost exactly a year now. It's gone very quickly. And there's so much that we've achieved, as well as building a stronger foundation strategy together with my leadership team. Under our new CEO, Sally Wentworth, we've developed an all-ISOC approach to the work we do, making sure that all internal teams are aligned in the 2030 strategy and working together as efficiently and as effectively as possible. But Sally has made it clear that an all-ISOC approach isn't just internal to the ISOC staff. All of ISOC includes everyone who's a member, includes the IETF, PIR, and our entire community understanding and working together on what we can achieve together. We want to multiply our impact as an organization over the coming years, but without multiplying the size of our staff and organization. To do this, we will need to work together more strongly as a community. And as an organization, we will need to be better at partnership and working with yourselves and other partners to deliver this impact. So as an example, our co-funding strategy looks to augment our own philanthropic funds for grants with those of other donors. This will allow us to fund more projects of the kind that we've seen on this call. fund more grants of the type that we're able to give to chapters, partners, and NGOs, and to work with a broader range of our community to deliver impact. We launched the Community Connectivity Co-Fund back in March with a $6.3 million donation from Meta. And there are other donors we hope to announce later in the year as part of that fund. We will announce our second fund specifically to support our work on a safer and secure internet very soon. And this is one of the ways we are looking to increase how we can work with other donors to bring their capital alongside ours to fund more of our activities. And remember, not funding a bigger organization, but funding a bigger community of impact. And this is what I see on calls like this, a fantastic pan-European community of impact. Whether it's policy or training activities, whether it's events or publications, we are all working together to drive towards the vision we share of an open, safe, and secure internet for everyone. As we will see at the IGF in Norway, which I'll be at, I look forward to seeing many of you there, and WSIS Plus 20 in Geneva that Sally will be at. In the coming weeks, we will all be a visible, active, and powerful community driving forward this mission. I've spoken just now about donors and how we're adding new donors to our ability to fund and support projects, and how we're bringing more fiscal donations into the organization. But I want to close by recognizing probably the most important set of donors that we have, and that's you, our community. You donate time, and often money as well, to drive the ISOC mission forward. That's probably the most valuable asset we have as a community. The time you give freely to support the work we all do, and I want to recognize and thank you sincerely for that. Without your donated time, your fierce passion, and your knowledge and expertise, we cannot achieve the impact in the world that we want to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. This brings us actually to the end of our Europe Community Day event. So thank you all so much to the speakers, but also to those in the chat for the contribution and the participation. Thank you for being an Internet Society member. Thank you for being a member of your chapter or your organization, but most of all, thank you for all that you do to make sure that the internet really does work for everyone. We'd also love to hear your feedback about how today's call went. So please take some time to let us know what you thought of the meeting. And there should be a QR code. Yeah, it's coming up now. And we'll also put the link in the chat for everyone to give their feedback. Leah, I think we maybe need to adjust the screen so the whole QR code is visible. Yeah, that looks better. Great. So yeah, feel free to scan this QR code, or otherwise we will put the SurveyMonkey link in the chat as well. Thank you, everyone.